please reply anyone.
Yes, yes, yes.
Yes, sir.
Okay, great. Good evening, all of you, and welcome to the case study workshop. We will be basically helping you to master the skills by which you can nail the case studies with ease, like breeze, with a logical and structured approach. So I would like my team members to introduce themselves.
Hi everyone, I'm Brahmjot from 4th year metallurgy and I'm part of EIC from past 3 years and looking forward to this session. All the best everyone.
Hi everyone, my name is Kunal and I'm from production 4th year. All the very best for this session.
So good evening, all of you. My name is Bharat, and I'm from
Hi
fourth year
everyone,
metallurgy.
and I hope you have a learning experience with this session. All the best.
Okay, that was Anupam, I think. Okay, fine. Good evening, everyone. I'm Bharat from fourth year metallurgy, and I have been a part of EIC for the past 3 years, and looking forward to this workshop. So let's begin with the workshop on it. So now, first of all, talking about what is a case study or a case study interview. Anybody having any idea? किसी को idea है क्या होता है? कभी सुना हो, बात करी हो? Anyone? You can just unmute yourself and speak. No one? So basically, when you're talking about a case interview, what happens is that we are giving you a case, a situation in which a company might be, or it might be a hypothetical situation altogether. And you have to basically come up with pragmatic solutions to it. Fine. So it might be a job interview, it might be asked by consultancy. You also need to use it in EIC if we talk about it, that if you're having a startup, then you want to drive it forth. But you need to see, okay, इसकी sales कैसे बढ़ेगी, इसका revenue कैसे बढ़ेगा, अगर competitors आ गए तो हम उससे compete कैसे करेंगे. So these are various factors into which you need to delve, in which a case study or a case interview is helping you. Many consultancy firms are using case studies as the entry point to their companies, like big consulting firms, which are helping businesses grow, are using case studies as a part of the recruitment process also. So these skills become handy there also, but we'll be primarily focusing on the ways to solve a case. So now let's talk about some of the sample questions about it. It can be that you have a restaurant, and it has been experiencing declining profits. Now that's a problem for it. So how do we help out with that? Also, let us say there is a company and it is willing to shift its plants. So in which country should it shift? That might be another issue. And let us say a bank is there which wants to get into the top 5 banks. How do you get there? So these are some of the cases, and we need to basically drill down to some of the solutions to it. So this is what a case study basically delves into. So along the interview will assess your skills. So how well you can think analytically, can you ask the appropriate questions, and whatever you pitch, whatever solution you give, it must be client friendly itself. Just got their solution. Is it feasible for that person to apply? That is the most important question. Let us say India में बहुत ज़्यादा pollution है. You give a solution that सारी industries बंद कर दो. It might seem fine from your end, but it is not compliable. It is not client friendly. So that is something we need to see. Okay. Now we need to understand that the thought process is very, very important. You may or may not arrive at a correct answer. Correct answer पे पहुंचना चाहिए. That is very, very important. Along with that, the approach which you take to get there, that is something which you are getting evaluated upon. So that is very, very crucial for the case interviews. Now talking about the styles of case interviews. So there are basically 2 types of case study interviews or case interviews. One might be interview-led, and another is candidate-led. When we talk about candidate-led, then you have the throttle in your hands and the lever in your hands. You can drive it whichever way you want. In case of interviewer-led, he will be putting you specific questions in between the case study interview, and you will have to answer them on spot. So it becomes a bit more trickier to answer. Well, right now we are at the beginning phase. We will be looking at the candidate-led case studies only. So now talking about some of the problem-solving fundamentals. So now you're having a problem. Now you want a solution to it. So there might be some root cause, some benchmarking. You have to assume something. Okay, your hypothesis over. You come up with some data to get into the benchmarking process. Then you define some frameworks, and corresponding the frameworks, you can come up with some issue trees, and you can drill down to the fundamental problem. But the question is, how do we do all this? इन सब चीजों को हम करेंगे कैसे? Yeah. So first of all, it all starts with a problem. First of all, we need to look what the problem is. So the first step is to define and be really clear about the problem. So let us say एक बंदा आपके पास आता है and he says that I lost my car key. Let us say I come to you and tell you that I lost my car key. What will be your reply to me? Can anyone tell me? You can just unmute yourself. Yeah.
सर रिप्लाई होगा कि डू यू हैव अ स्पेयर वन.
ओके ग्रेट. स्पेयर वन नहीं है, मेरे को वो वाली कार की चाहिए. तो कैसे ढूंढने बताओ?
लास्ट कौन सा स्पॉट था
When
जहाँ
did
पे
you
वो
see
थी?
it last time?
When did you see it last time? Great. और क्या पूछोगे? What else?
Sir, on the way while coming.
Okay, कब गुम हुई? You mean to say?
एक्स्ट्रा चाबी है या नहीं?
Extra चाबी नहीं है. I just want to find. I won't be able to look at the messages because I'm presenting the screen. You can just unmute yourself. Spare की नहीं है मेरे पास. एक ही चाबी थी and वो गुम हो गई है. I want to find it. So you are saying that आखिरी बार कहाँ देखी थी? What else will you look into?
How does it look like?
How does it look like? Great. What else? कुछ और?
Did it have any other keys like your house keys or office keys, something like that?
Yeah. So basically उसके साथ कुछ और था या नहीं था? So these are some things we are looking around. That अगर कोई चाबी गुम हुई तो कब गुम हुई? You will ask the time. कब गुम हुई? कहाँ पे गुम हुई? And वो कैसी दिखती थी? These will be the three questions. Let us say you tell me that एक साल पहले गुम हुई थी. Then I may not be able to help you out. Very very logical, you know. If you say अभी 10 मिनट पहले गुम हुई है, maybe I can help you. एक घंटा पहले गुम हुई है, we can help you. So we will track down that एक घंटा पहले आप यहाँ पे थे, and maybe we can find out that हाँ यहाँ पे हो सकती है, या पिछले एक घंटे में मैं ये 3 जगहों पे गया. We can check out at those 3 places. The key might be there itself. So when you are coming to the problem, first of all you need to clarify. Okay, मुझे ढूंढी हुई गाड़ी की चाबी को, I'm sorry, एक गुमी हुई गाड़ी की चाबी को ढूंढना. So first of all, you need to ask some clarification questions to achieve more details. Like all of you said, कब गुम हुई, कहाँ गुम हुई, कैसे गुम हुई, या फिर कैसी दिखती थी. So this sounds pretty easy, but sometimes it is a bit trickier also. So what's the objective? Can anyone tell me objective क्या है यहाँ पे? चाबी ढूंढना. Yes.
Yes.
So you can basically
Find the key.
Yeah, exactly. So you can basically ask that person what's the objective, then what's the timeline required. आपको कब तक चाबी चाहिए? Also you can further ask that कितने time में चाबी चाहिए and any other requirements you have along with it. Means आपको उसके साथ key ring भी लाके दूँ, कुछ extra चीज लाके दूँ. That can be a kind of courtesy. In case interviews, I'm just giving analogy. It is not directly related to it. Okay. So objective is that the client, in fact, needs to be able to just use the car. This is the objective for him. Well, we were talking that हमारा objective क्या है? Lost car key को ढूंढना. But here the objective of the client is to be able to use the car itself. उसको चाबी का क्या करना? उसने चाबी को थोड़ी ना चलाना है. उसने गाड़ी को चलाना है. वो कह रहे हैं मुझे गाड़ी चला के दे दो जैसे मर्जी से. And the timeline is he needs it very very urgently. If you can help him in the next hour, he is happy with it. Otherwise उसके काम की नहीं है चीज. He is very very busy. And specificity is that help the client put his car into normal operation like before he lost the key. So this is the specifics which we want. that गाड़ी चल रही है, वैसे ही चला के अगर आप दिखा दो उसको, चाहे बिना की के भी, then also it works. So let's look at it a bit further. So the second thing is that you need to find the root cause or the root reason for the problem, not just fixing the symptom. When I'm saying about it, just let me go a bit forth. So अगर आपकी गाड़ी की चाबी गुम हो गई है तो तरीका क्या हो सकता है? गाड़ी का दरवाजा तोड़ दो एंड आप किसी मैकेनिक को बुलाओ, वो आपकी गाड़ी के उसको खोलेगा, वायरिंग को खोलेगा, एंड मे बी ऑल ऑफ यू आर अवेयर दैट अ मैकेनिक कैन बेसिकली स्टार्ट योर और इग्नाइट योर इंजन विदाउट द कीज इटसेल्फ. सो एक जुगाड़ू तरीका हुआ. Yes, but it is not a long-term solution. Yes or no? I'm audible there because
Yes,
I'm.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, so it is not a permanent solution. Maybe I'm able to drive today itself, but कल मैं drive नहीं कर पाऊंगा या शाम को drive नहीं कर पाऊंगा. So this is what we are saying, that you have to find the root cause and you have to address that, not just fix the symptom. मैं कह रहा हूँ मेरे को गाड़ी चलानी है, तो उसने गाड़ी start करके देखी, दे दी, हो गया काम. But that's not a long-term solution. So what will be the long-term solution? It will be to find the key itself or to make a new key or whatever you do. But it should be addressing the root cause of that problem. Yeah. So now, if you look at it, the example is very, very simple. Let us say it is a patient and he is having some chest pain or some other chronic ailment which is with him. Now, what do we do? Nowadays, we are going to allopathic doctors. What do? They give you painkillers most of the time. Now, if we talk about painkillers, what are they doing? Can anyone tell? क्या करते हैं?
That relieves pain.
Temporary relief.
It is giving you a temporary relief. Exactly. They're not killing the symptom. So body के अंदर अगर pain होता है, is it good or bad?
Sir, होना भी चाहिए sir.
होना भी चाहिए. Obviously, it is good thing. अगर आपका हाथ आपके ऊपर आ गया, and अगर हाथ के अंदर burning sensation नहीं है, then आपका हाथ जल जाएगा. Simply because there is a burning sensation, you can take your hand back and it is getting saved. So pain is there in the body to help you know that there is something going fundamentally wrong with you and you need to address it. If you are doing everything fine, then most probably chronic ailments won't be there. Infection, जैसे corona हो गया, that can happen. But the chronic ailments are caused majority of the time simply because you are doing something fundamentally wrong. So we need to find that root cause of the particular disease or whatever which is there. And if you work upon it, whatever treatment is given to you, it will have a long-term effect. Otherwise, if you keep on taking painkillers now, after some time, maybe painkillers won't also work. Yes. So let us say you are having something wrong with you. You got a chronic ailment. Now you need to see, okay, what am I doing wrong? Am I eating wrong? Am I sleeping wrong? Am I drinking wrong? Is my heart beating wrong? Am I breathing wrong? Something you must be doing fundamentally wrong. Otherwise, chronic ailments most probably don't happen. So we have to basically address the root cause. Okay. Now coming forth, issue tree याद है आपको? याद है किसी को? Last time किया था. If anyone attended the workshop, anyone remembers what's an issue tree?
सर कौन सा वर्कशॉप था?
Last time we had a guesstimate workshop 2 days back. Anyone remembering from that? अगर किसी ने लगाई थी तो.
So we split the problem into few sections and we look upon them separately.
Exactly. So we basically break the problem into further sections, as he said, and we are looking further into it and further into it. So we are having a main problem. We divide it further until we get to the root cause. Yeah. So we can basically group the possible root causes into big groups, and further we can go on you can decipher it down and decipher it down, and further it has to be in compliance with MECE, which is, anyone remembers MECE क्या होता है?
Mutually exclusive and relatively exhaustive.
It has to be correct, mutually exclusive and collectively exhaustive. That is, all the subsets corresponding to it are covered. If that is done, then things can happen pretty well. Now let us say मेरा जो चाबी है वो घर के अंदर गुम गई. Now there are 4 floors, means a basement, first floor, second floor, ground floor. So मेरे पास 4 floors हैं देखने के लिए. So what will we do? We will basically divide the house into 4 parts. पहले हम basement में देखेंगे, फिर हम फर्स्ट फ्लोर, ग्राउंड फ्लोर, सेकेंड फ्लोर, we'll look at all the places and we'll try to find where it can be. So this is basically the issue tree where you're breaking down the big problem into small parts and you're proceeding to the solution part. Now, the question is, which branch will you choose first? Let us say मेरे घर के अंदर चाबी गुम हुई and उसके अंदर एक बेसमेंट है, एक ग्राउंड फ्लोर, एक फर्स्ट फ्लोर, एक सेकंड फ्लोर. तो कौन से फ्लोर के ऊपर आप देखोगे? Anyone?
Sir, the most visited one.
The
Sir,
most
I think,
visited one. Yeah.
sir, I want to say something.
Yeah.
Sir, I think we should check our clothes first.
Okay, we should check our clothes first. वो मैं चेक कर लेता हूँ. सबसे पहले हम अपने कपड़े चेक करते हैं, सारी पॉकेट चेक करी जाती है. Yeah. So we have checked that. What else? Where? So, as one of you mentioned, that we will be going to the most visited ones. या फिर वो वाला रूम जिसके अंदर हम आखिरी बार गए होंगे चाबी गुम होने से पहले. So this is something which we need to look that कहाँ पे दिक्कत है या कहाँ पे हम check कर सकते हैं. That is something we need to apply our logic and analytical skills to get to it. So what we are doing is we are first of all assuming, let us say मैं first floor के ऊपर रहता हूँ and first floor पे ही मैंने उससे चाबी को आखिरी बार देखा था. So what will be our first hypothesis? That जो चाबी है वो most probably first floor के ऊपर ही होगी and we will check it there. अगर वहाँ पे नहीं मिलती then we will move to other floors. So this is what we say, that if you're willing to find the branch with which you should proceed first, then you need to use a hypothesis. So you say that, let us say first floor के ऊपर ही चाबी मिलेगी. You find it everywhere. If you don't find it, then you say इसके बाद कौन से फ्लोर के ऊपर आप गए थे? सेकंड फ्लोर के ऊपर, चलो वहाँ पे भी देख लेते हैं, यहाँ पे भी देख लेते हैं. So this is how you proceed with a hypothesis. So first of all, you assume a hypothesis. If it is correct, you proceed with it further. If it is wrong, you move to the other hypothesis further. So it is basically an educated guess where the root cause may lie. And we need to prioritize the branch with the highest chance. जैसा आपने कहा, जहाँ पे सबसे ज़्यादा बार विजिट करते हो या जहाँ पे रहते हो, that will be the one to be considered. So एक घर के अंदर ये फर्दर जगहें हैं, रूम्स हैं. So we can further break down. फर्स्ट फ्लोर के ऊपर अगर हम चेक कर रहे हैं तो कौन से कमरों के अंदर सबसे ज़्यादा जाते हैं. We can further break down the issue tree and get to the root cause or the place where you will find the key itself. And the question is, एक ब्रांच को टेस्ट कैसे किया जाए? Let us say मेरे को चाबी ढूंढनी है, कोई तरीका है ढूंढने का? मेटल कीज होती हैं, कैसे ढूंढेंगे? एक तो आंखों से ढूंढ के, और कोई तरीका? नहीं, मे बी एक मेटल डिटेक्टर यूज कर लो, एक स्पेशल टाइप का जो कि आपकी मेटल की कॉन्सेंट्रेशन बता दे. वी आर जस्ट टॉकिंग इट हाइपोथेटिकली. एंड अगर कॉन्सेंट्रेशन ऑफ मेटल एक पर्टिकुलर रूम में ज़्यादा है as compared to the normal one, maybe we can say that we can find it there. I'm just saying it is hypothetical, but this is the way we can use. So we can basically use some data and compare it with some benchmark. So let us say that मेरे profits कम हो रहे हैं. Now profits कम हो रहे हैं, मुझे कैसे पता चलेगा? I will test it with the historical data. That मेरा historical data ये कहता है. Or if we say that we are falling short of revenues or growth as compared to our competitors, then what is the benchmark in that case? In that case, the benchmarking will be with respect to our competitors. So to test a branch, we are using data and we are further comparing it with the benchmarkers. Yeah. So we can have either historical data or competitor data. Okay. Now, if a hypothesis is true, then we can drill it down further. If it is false, then you have to go sideways. अगर first floor के ऊपर ही की मिल गई, good. अगर नहीं मिली तो सेकेंड फ्लोर के ऊपर देखो, अगले फ्लोर के ऊपर देखो, अगले फ्लोर के ऊपर देखो, till you find the key. So this is how we go with the case study. Yeah. So if it is proven true, you need to further find it down, और तोड़ते जाओ, and अगर false हो रहा है तो you can go to the next branch. Okay. Now coming to, once you have identified the root cause, then you have to go for the solutions. Let us say मेरी एक कंपनी है जिसकी प्रॉफिटेबिलिटी गिरती जा रही है, प्रॉफिट्स गिरते जा रहे हैं. Now you identify that ये एक पर्टिकुलर कॉज है जिसकी वजह से मेरे प्रॉफिट्स गिर रहे हैं. So is identifying the root cause enough? Yes or no?
Can you
Firstly,
repeat?
necessary.
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear you.
Can you repeat?
I'm saying अगर आपने एक root cause का पता लगा लिया, then is finding the root cause enough? या कुछ और भी करना पड़ता है?
सर सोल्यूशन भी ढूंढना पड़ेगा उसका।
Obviously, we need to go for the
कैसे करें?
solutions. Exactly.
फर्स्टली रूट कॉज ढूंढना ही इनफ है, मतलब फर्स्टली देखेंगे रूट कॉज, उसका बाद सोल्यूशन।
Exactly. So we need to first of all find the root cause. Once you get the root cause, then you go for some solutions to it. So this is the last step of a basic approach in which you come up with a solution to kill the problem itself. Yeah? Okay. Now, before we go forth with it, let us say हमने एक चाबी ढूंढने की बात करी. We talked about some disease. I'm not going into the direct case study. We will be proceeding to it in another 4-5 minutes. Let us say we want to talk about pollution on this planet. So, is planet Cupid, which is a form of pollution which needs to be addressed the most, and how do we eliminate it? Anyone willing to give a rough try?
सर मेरे ख्याल से तो जो फैक्ट्रीज से होता है वो मेजर होता है। फैक्ट्रीज ट्रैफिक अगर हम हटा दें तो फैक्ट्रीज से मेजर होता है, उसको एलिमिनेट हम कर सकते हैं कि हम हर फैक्ट्री को बोलेंगे कि आप इतना % वेस्ट डंप कर सकते हो, इससे ऊपर करोगे तो आप पे फाइन लगा देंगे।
Okay, fine. One is talking about factories and he is giving solutions to that. Fine. What
Sir,
else?
the waste produced by home, sir.
The waste produced by home. Fine. What else?
Fertilizers in agriculture,
Fertilizers in agriculture. Fine. What else?
Sir,
Fossil
pesticides,
fuel emissions.
Pesticides. agriculture.
Promoting electric vehicles.
Is it a cause of pollution?
Fossil
I'm
fuel
saying first of all, you
emissions.
have to identify a root cause and then go for the solutions. Yeah.
sir, I think
Can
in
we
these
consider
is
the noise
also
pollution
nuclear
also?
pollution.
Okay, noise pollution. Fine. Someone also speaking something.
Sir, I think in these days we can also consider nuclear pollution.
Nuclear pollution. Okay, fine. What else?
Sir, medicinal waste.
Medicinal waste or biological waste. Fine. What else?
वाटर पोल्यूशन,
Water pollution.
Soil pollution,
Okay.
Fuel emissions.
Fuel emissions. Okay. So what we can see is that pollution है, आपने उसके अंदर मेरे को various branches बता दी. किसी ने तो direct solution के ऊपर किया था. You can take electric vehicles, but that is not a root cause. So someone told about factory pollution. किसी ने water pollution की बात करी, nuclear pollution, maybe soil pollution in some sense. So you're basically breaking down the bigger problem into smaller one. Then you can further look into some data and statistics, which will be provided by the interviewer in case of a case study. This is not a case study. We are just taking an analogy to understand basically how it works. Because if I directly introduce you to the case studies, it might become a bit overwhelming. So I'm just making you familiar with it. So now let us say अगर हम pollution की बात करें, what are the 3-4 major types of pollution? Just अगर हम broad categories में तोड़ने की कोशिश करें.
Sir, I think one is water pollution, sir.
Water pollution.
Air
fine.
pollution, noise
Air
वाटर
pollution.
पोल्यूशन, एयर पोल्यूशन, सॉइल पोल्यूशन।
Soil. Okay. Noise pollution.
Noise pollution.
Okay. Someone can say nuclear pollution also. Fine. Okay. So now let us say we want to go on to the soil pollution. So anyone can tell me what is soil pollution? कुछ idea है किसी को क्या होता है? I'm just taking analogy here.
Sir,
How
using
can
of
soil get polluted?
fertilizers in the field, sir.
Okay. Use of fertilizers. Okay. Fine. What else?
सर बीच पे सैंड में लोग कचरा फेंक जाते हैं.
Okay. Fine.
प्लास्टिक फेंक देना।
Okay. Fine. What else?
Poor waste disposal system.
Poor waste disposal system. Fine. So when we are talking about soil pollution, what we are basically saying is somewhere if we give some direction to it, now we can further break it down. One is that आपने इसके अंदर गंद डाल दिया, you put in some plastics or something which is making the soil degrade in its quality. Another can be the depletion of soil itself. So anyone having any idea soil or sand में difference क्या होता है? We are now further breaking into the issue tree. हमने pollution को define किया. We decided we can go into soil. Now we are further breaking it down. Now we are looking at a part which is soil extinction or soil converting into sand. Now anyone knows what is sand and what is soil difference क्या होता है?
Soil और
So
भी टूट
soil is
जाता
a
है तो वो
broader term. The
Okay.
sand is a sub part of soil, just like clay and slit and everything.
Okay. Someone else or quick?
Soil can be used for agriculture, but sand cannot be used for agriculture.
Okay. So ऐसा क्या चीज होती है soil के अंदर जो sand के अंदर नहीं होती?
Soil is made up
Minerals
of
and
organic
nutrients.
materials.
Exactly. So it has some amount of organic thing. So if you talk about the forest soil, then it is having 70% of organic content. It is very rich by nature. But if you talk about the soil, for soil to be called soil, it must have at least 3 to 6% of organic content. Minimum 3% is there. But let us say you talk about our country, India. Here, more than 62% of the soil doesn't have even 0.5% of organic content. So we are basically moving towards a very imminent disaster. So we are basically identified, okay, sand के अंदर and soil के अंदर distinction नहीं होती है, that there is lack of organic thing. So we are further drilling it down that दिक्कत कहाँ पे आ रही है in terms of soil, in terms of soil degradation. There is less humus content. So इसका solution क्या हो सकता है? Now we are going towards solution. Anyone?
Planting trees.
Planting trees, fine. What else?
Less use of plastics.
Less use of.
Because plastics जो होते हैं
Mhm.
Sir,
सॉइल के
terrace
बीच में जाके फिर सॉइल इरोजन कॉज करते हैं.
Okay, fine. What else?
Lowering use of synthetic fertilizers.
Okay. What else?
Sir, we can use terrace farming, sir.
Terrace farming से soil sand में convert नहीं होगी. Okay. What else? कोई और?
Reduction of slash and burn methods of agriculture.
Okay, fine. So I guess you're giving me some very good points that अगर soil degradation को कम करना है, we can basically come up with some pretty solutions. So if you talk about it, first of all, 30 to 40% of the land has to go under tree cover. It might be bushes or plants or vegetation of any kind, especially in the tropical regions. Furthermore, you know that 80 to 87% of the life in biological terms or the biological diversity happens in the first 30 to 39 inches of the topsoil. So if you're plowing it out and if you're paving the roads through the soil, then what happens? It is getting heated up. Obviously, all the humus content is getting wiped out. Furthermore, you are taking away the animals from the fields. Now you're using tractors for that. So there is no waste from the animals itself, which shall provide the organic content to the soil. That is something which needs to be looked at. Furthermore, for these things to happen, what do we need? इसके लिए क्या लगेगा? ये सारे काम करने के लिए what do we need? We are further going to the solution. What do we need to do for that? Anyone?
Man awareness.
क्या करना है?
Awareness build करना.
Awareness build करना. Sure. Good.
Funding.
Funding. Okay. और
गवर्नमेंट एंड ऑर्गेनाइजेशन को कंसीडर करना होगा.
Obviously. So we can say that for these things to happen, we need to first of all eliminate this thing that environment और ये चीजें तो अमीरों की चीज होती है. This is something which is there that it is just for the rich people. No, it is for everyone. We need to understand that all of us are moving towards that because all of us are consuming food which comes from soil. So if it becomes a desert, we won't be able to eat food. Furthermore, it must become a part of the election campaigns. It must be a part of the manifestos, and somewhere we can see that in United States also the previous president was not in favor of environmental issues, but somewhere that part was also vital in bringing the current president into force. So somewhere we can see that all these factors, comment ho gaya, administration ho gaya, politics ki side se, funding ki side se. So these are various things which we saw. So how did we go about it? If we just sum it down, we first of all saw pollution. Then we decided that we'll be taking one leg, which is soil. We further broke it down to the soil extension. We further came down to the understanding that soil erosion या soil degradation हो क्यों रही है. We understood that humus content come in. We further came up with solutions to it. we further came up that अगर इसको करना है, then you need common policies for it. So this is how you can break down a problem into parts. This is just an analogy. Business solutions, business case will be much different from it, but I think all of you have got a rough idea. Okay. So now we'll be moving into the language of business right now. We are talking just some fundamental things जो सबको पता है, because I just wanted to make you a bit comfortable with it. So now coming to some of the accounting and financial terms which are used in the language of business. So balance sheet, I think काफी ने सुना होगा. So we won't be going into the details balance sheet क्या होती है. Just in case it comes as a reference in a case interview, you must be able to tell, okay, it is talking about the two dimensions. Just a second. If we talk about the balance sheet, it is just talking about, broadly, it is talking about what are the earnings you have and what are the debits you have. So there are basically three components. Broadly, if we talk about, one might be the assets, another might be the liabilities, and another will be the equity. So assets means whatever you have, liabilities, whatever debt you have, it is like negative, and equity is basically the subtraction of both of them. So it is always balanced by nature. So I think you have got to know a bit about balance sheet. इसके अंदर assets और liabilities के बारे में बता रखा होता है. And if you want to find equity, then it will be subtraction of both of them. Asset मतलब जो आपके पास है, liability मतलब जो आपने उधारी पे ले रखे हैं, and equity is the net worth. Now talking about income statement. अब income statement क्या होती है? It is a record of the business performance. Now it is telling you how much it is making in terms of money, and it will be including the revenues, the costs, the profits, and profit, as you know, it will be the revenue minus cost in the broader terms if you want to talk about it. Yeah. Now coming to the cash flow statement. Now income statement is an opinion, but cash flow statement is a fact. It is possible that मैंने आपके साथ एक order book किया and I delivered it to you. In my income statement, that payment for the order might have come from your side, but unless and until you pay me the cash, which is I think in big orders around 30 to 40 days का एक time period होता है जिसके अंदर उसको pay किया जाता है. So that is basically recorded in the cash flow statement. So cash flow statement is telling you the cash flow itself, and it is the fact. That is why it is written that cash flow statement is the fact. So it can basically go into operational, the financial, and the investment part. Okay. Now we won't be looking into these things in detail. I'm just giving you a broad idea. Okay, these are the things. Now talking about the organizational structure. So in terms of an organization, when you're talking about a business, we are having the ownership from the board of president, which is the chairman, and then you have the management, which is headed by the CEO. And there is a supervisor, which is a committee of supervisors, which are basically monitoring the CEO. So generally board of president जो है या फिर जो chairman है, वो CEO की functioning में ज़्यादा दखल-अंदाज़ी नहीं करते. But they have the power to fire CEOs if they wish. If something goes totally wrong, it might be seen in some cases that they are having fired. So we're getting some sense, okay, business organization के अंदर कैसे चीजें structure होती हैं in terms of organization. Okay. Now further, there are further functions. So कोई भी बड़ी कंपनी होगी उसके अंदर strategy वाला part होगा. You might be talking let us say about Mahindra and Mahindra. So उसके अंदर strategy होगी that हमने further कैसे grow करना है. There is R&D to do the research and development work. There will be operations. There will be sales. And उसकी marketing हमें अच्छे से करनी है. अपने finances को कैसे manage करना है. And also accounting is very essential. That हमने कितना बेचा, हमने कितना खरीदा, the raw materials and all those aspects need to be. Okay. So now coming to some of the terms and concepts. So one is B2B and another is B2C. Anyone having any idea? B2B and B2C क्या होता है? लिखा ही हुआ है, but can you explain?
सर B2B होता है कि अगर हम अपना जो प्रोडक्ट फाइनल प्रोडक्ट है हम किसी बिजनेस को दे रहे हैं ताकि वो आगे और कस्टमर्स को बेच सके, और B2C होता है कि हम डायरेक्ट कस्टमर को दे, जैसे Amazon B2C है, हम कस्टमर्स डायरेक्ट उनसे ले सकते हैं.
Okay.
और B2B होगा कि अगर मैं कोई फैक्ट्री चला रहा हूँ तो मैं आगे और बिजनेस को दूंगा, रिटेलर्स को दूंगा, तो आगे फिर वो कस्टमर को देंगे.
Okay, great. सो इफ यू आर बाइंग अ कार, तो कार के अंदर क्या टायर आप बाद में लगाते हो या लगे हुए आते हैं?
लगे हुए आते हैं, तो वो
लगे
B2B हो गया ना।
वो B2B हो गया. बट अगर आपका गाड़ी का टायर पंक्चर हो गया, इफ यू वांट टू बाय अ न्यू टायर इन दैट सेंस, देन इट इज अ B2C थिंग. Okay, now there are levers. So what is a lever? Lever means some initiative or action जो कि आप take up कर सकते हो to meet certain goals. Like अगर आपको होटल है and you want to increase the revenues from there, what you need to do? You need to increase the customer experience. So you can provide maybe free Wi-Fi, 24/7 support. So these are some of the levers which are the initiatives you can take to increase the performance or to meet the goals. Next is the best practice. So some things we know that इनको ऐसे ही करना चाहिए, then that is the best thing to do. Like if you're running a hotel, if you keep your terms and conditions very clear with the customers, obviously that is the best practice. अगर आपको hidden charges लगाओगे, in that case the customer might not be happy with you. Further is granular. That is you're looking into the issue in depth in detail. And further, MECE, I think I have discussed about it. So these are some of the terms which you might come across while solving a guesstimate or a case study. Guesstimates can be we discussed last time. There is market sizing. So market sizing further extends itself into the case study. We'll be looking at it today. Okay, now talking about categorization of businesses. So अगर किसी business को categorize करना है, let us say, okay, let us talk this way. If you meet someone, तो आप क्या पूछते हो? So let us say he is a 30-year-old man. What will you ask him to get introduced to him? What do you ask him? Anyone?
सर रिपीट करना एक बार क्वेश्चन.
I'm saying that let us say you किसी आदमी को मिलते हो जो कि 30 साल का है, and you are playing badminton with him, and you want to know him to introduce yourself. अगर किसी से पहली बार मिलते हो, obviously you ask some things. So
Like
what do you ask?
occupation.
Occupation क्या है? सबसे पहले नाम पूछते हैं शायद.
नाम और कहाँ से है वो?
Where he is from.
या नाम क्या है, कहाँ से है वो, और क्या काम करते हैं?
ऑक्यूपेशन उसके बाद.
Occupation, exactly. So this is how we can basically categorize a business also. First of all, we need to look that जो मेरे पास केस है वो कौन सी इंडस्ट्री का है. मैं जिस कंपनी की बात कर रहा हूँ, क्या वो बैंकिंग से है, क्या वो कंस्ट्रक्शन में है, क्या वो एजुकेशन में है या स्टील है, कोई भी सेक्टर हो सकता है. We need to first of all identify which industry does that particular business categorize to. Further, we need to see कहाँ से, so we need to see that where it is geographically. अगर वो इंडिया में है, the terms on which I think might be different. अगर वो US में है, it might be different. If it is, let us say, in China, it will be different. If it is in Pakistan, it will be entirely different. So ways of thinking will be very, very different as per the industry, as per the location, and as per the function. So if a company is into IT, maybe COVID का उसके ऊपर इतना ज़्यादा असर नहीं पड़ेगा. But let us say if it is into hotels or these arenas or tours and travels, in that case, there will be a lot of impact of COVID upon it. So the categorization of businesses becomes vital when we are solving a case study. Okay. Now coming to the next thing, which is the frameworks. So when you are willing to enter a new market, okay, let us keep it aside. Okay, let us say we want to enter a new market. मैं एक कंपनी हूँ and या मैं एक स्टार्टअप करना चाहता हूँ. I want to enter a new market. What are the factors we will look into? Can anyone tell? क्या factors होंगे?
Existing competition.
Existing competition, okay.
Demand.
Demand, okay, great. What else?
So finance and
Mhm.
जो भी हम जहाँ से मटेरियल्स बाई करेंगे वहाँ कंसीडर करना कि कहाँ कहाँ से हम ले सकते हैं अपना रॉ मटेरियल्स को.
Okay, great. What else?
Government policies.
Government policies, of course. What else?
रिस्क कितना.
रिस्क कितना है, exactly. अगर मैंने वहाँ से छोड़ के जाना है तो गवर्नमेंट पॉलिसीज रोकेंगी तो नहीं. So we can combine these two points together. उस देश के अंदर क्या सोशल सिक्योरिटी है या नहीं, like I know in the United States, there are policies for social securities. There are companies which have gone bankrupt 2, 3 times, and then they have succeeded. Whereas there are no such support systems in India. If you fail once, maybe you are bankrupt. So risk is an important factor. What else?
Lower transport and labor costs.
If you're taking the costs which are involved, fine. Anything else? No?
Scope for growth.
Obviously growth rate. जैसे इंडिया के अंदर we have a population which is growing and a population which is moving from the poverty line, below poverty line to above poverty line, or from poor status to the middle class. We have moved a huge number of people in that direction. So obviously that is emerging market for the coming players. So like this, we can consider things which are there. So when you're willing to enter a new market, you can look at the major players which are there and what is the market share of them. Further, you can look into product differentiation. जो मैं product लेके आ रहा हूँ वो क्या existing products की तरह ही है, or is it something one of its kind? If it is one of its kind, maybe you don't have so much data about it. At the same time, you have the benefit that you have less number of competitors corresponding to it. Furthermore, you can look into barriers to entry. Maybe कुछ websites हैं या कुछ apps हैं या कोई भी product है जिसको गवर्नमेंट ऑफ इंडिया बैन कर रही है, so या उसके ऊपर ज़्यादा ड्यूटीज लगाई जा रही हैं, टैक्सेशन ज़्यादा है. In that case, those are barriers to entry. So you need to consider all of them when you are entering a current market. Furthermore, all of you mentioned many more things which are there. Those can also be considered as per the case. Okay. Now, when we are entering a new market, the answer can be yes or no. मैंने इन सारी चीज़ों को assess करा, and let us say मुझे लगा that नहीं यार यहाँ पे मुश्किल हो रहा है, then I can say no. But in case of if I say yes, then how? That is a basic question. So if I'm willing to enter a new market, what I can do? I can start from scratch. बिल्कुल zero से अपना business शुरू करा जाए. What can be another method is acquisition. किसी और company को acquire कर लिया, खरीद लिया. Another method can be a joint venture. You're going into collaborations, and all of them have their own pros and cons. Now let us talk about profitability. So when you're looking into profit, it is basically revenue minus cost. So you can break down the revenue as price per unit and unit sold. दोनों को multiply करके, I guess you will get the revenue. Same way you can go into costs. So cost के अंदर there will be cost per unit. Now there will be a fixed cost and there will be a variable cost. So taking all these factors into account, you can come up, break down the profit which is coming, and you can look into individual segments and you can drill it down to the problem which is there. So these are basic frameworks, like we talked about issue trees. So these will get across the issue trees further down into deep. Okay. Now let us say
हमने अगर किसी कंपनी को खरीदा तो फिर उसमें कॉन्स क्या होंगे?
कौन से होंगे that अगर आप किसी कंपनी को खरीद रहे हो, in that sense उसका एक काम करने का एक पर्टिकुलर तरीका होता है. Let us say I'm one company and you are another company. I have a particular style of working. मेरा एक कंपनी का वर्क कल्चर एक तरीके का है. I acquire you. You have a completely different kind of work culture. You have a different kind of ideology. You have different kind of structuring in terms of your organization. मेरा एकदम अलग है. Now, when you're bringing both of them together, then there will be some amount of friction, no? So that is something which is a concept. Furthermore, दो companies अलग-अलग हैं, दोनों का branding अलग है, उनकी perception अलग है लोगों के बीच. Now, when they are coming up together, obviously, one company will have to give up on its perception. या तो दोनों का mixture सा लगेगा या कुछ नया होगा. But whatever image they have for the last few years or maybe decades, that might get compromised in that case. Yes. Okay. Now moving to the mergers and acquisitions. So let us say आपने merger करना है या फिर acquisition करना है. Then you need to consider into account the cost. And अगर मैंने कल exit करना है तो exit करने के लिए क्या strategies होंगी. मेरे से मेरे को 10 साल बाद realize होता है that मैं इसके साथ काम नहीं कर सकता. 1 साल बाद realize होता है. Then if I exit, ऐसा तो नहीं होगा that जो मेरी partner company है वो मेरा सारे assets को take over कर लेगी. There are possibilities, many possibilities.
अगर हम फेसबुक एंड व्हाट्सएप के को कंसीडर करें तो यहाँ पे तो दोनों को फायदा ही हुआ। अगर वो व्हाट्सएप उसके साथ नहीं चल पाई तो उन्हें तो पैसा भी तो अच्छा खासा मिल गया।
कैन यू रिपीट? मुझे पूरा सुनाई नहीं दिया।
फेसबुक एंड व्हाट्सएप की भी जो कंट्रोवर्सी तो इसी तरीके की है कि फेसबुक ने व्हाट्सएप को खरीदा बट साथ में चल नहीं पाया, तो व्हाट्सएप के जो भी ओनर थे स्टार्टिंग के वो तो अलग हो गए बट उन्हें पैसा भी तो मिल गया।
उनको पैसा मिल गया बट दैट इज बाय चॉइस, यू नो। उनको पैसा मिला, दैट
एंड
इज
फेसबुक भी अच्छा रेवेन्यू अर्न कर रही है फेसबुक भी व्हाट्सएप से।
ओके, बट एट द सेम टाइम फेसबुक को सारा का सारा डेटा भी मिल गया। नाउ प्राइवेसी इज एट स्टेक, यस और नो?
यस सर।
So there are some cons with everything. Okay. Now we will be looking at objectives. That हमें खरीदना क्यों है? So why do you go for mergers and acquisitions? You want to get some market access. You want to have some taxation savings. Maybe there are some synergies. Let us say मेरी एक company है which is into automobiles, and I am somewhat collaborating with another company which is into tires. So अगर हम दोनों collaborations में जा रहे हैं, in that case में भी मुझे टायर्स खरीदने के लिए उतनी पूरी की पूरी कॉस्ट नहीं देनी पड़ेगी. Now there will be some reduction in the prices for buying that particular tire. So that is something where synergies can come into play somewhat. Now further it is acquisition cost. जिस कंपनी को मैं खरीदने के लिए जा रहा हूँ, क्या उसकी वैल्यूएशन हद से ज़्यादा तो नहीं है? तो this is something we need to look. Furthermore, अगर हमको reintegrate करना है, because you have to reintegrate whole of the data, the systems and everything, then what will be the cost for that? And agar economy kharab ho jati hai, will we be able to sustain that? So these are some of the factors we need to take into account. Furthermore, if you want to exit, हम अभी कितने टाइम के लिए इसको होल्ड ऑन करना चाहेंगे? And if we wish to break it up, how will we break it up? How can we sell it up? These are very, very detailed things, but I'm giving you just a word. Okay. Now let us talk about the pricing strategies. So if you want to price something, how do you price it? Let us say you want to sell a pencil. तो पेंसिल की कॉस्ट आप कितनी रखोगे मैक्सिमम? हद से अच्छी पेंसिल की कॉस्ट आई थिंक 10 रुपए होगी, वो भी बहुत ज़्यादा है. No pencil should cost more than 5-6 rupees, I guess. 3-4 रुपए की पेंसिल आएगी. But if you want to sell, let us say, a pen, then there are different kind of costs which are there. Yes, I don't know, मुझे 10 रुपए से महंगी कभी पेंसिल मिली नहीं. But what I'm saying is that pricing happens as per the product and as per the perception of the brand itself. Let us say Parker का पेन 1000 रुपए का बिकता है, 2000 का भी आता होगा, 5000 का भी आता होगा. But pens are available for 5 rupees too. So now, how do you price your product? Depends upon your own customer segment in the market. आपका customer segment क्या है? Parker का जो pen है, that is used not for writing on a daily basis. They're using it maybe for signing or by very rich people for regular writing, of course. If you're willing, if you're a student, a college student, you cannot afford a Parker pen every day. अगर आपका हर 2 दिन में एक पेन खत्म हो रहा है, then you will be going for the 3 rupees pen or 5 rupees or 10 rupees pen. So that is somehow you get to the pricing strategies. So what are the customers willing to pay for the product? And अगर हम उसको दूसरे चीज़ों से compare करें तो कितनी pricing में है? And what is the supply and demand dynamics like? These are all the things which need to be considered. Now further, if we want to grow, how do we grow? एक ग्रो करने का तरीका क्या हो सकता है? डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन चैनल्स बढ़ा दो. मेरा एक पेन है जो सिर्फ चंडीगढ़ में बिकता है 2 दुकानों पे, उसको चंडीगढ़ के अंदर 40 दुकानों पे बेचना शुरू कर दो, उसको आसपास की जगहों पे बेचना शुरू कर दो. सिर्फ स्टेशनरी की दुकान के ऊपर नहीं, ग्रोसरी स्टोर्स के ऊपर भी उसको बेचना शुरू कर दो. सो दैट कैन बी ग्रोथ स्ट्रैटेजी. इट कैन बी इंक्रीजिंग इन द प्रोडक्ट लाइन, मैन्युफैक्चरिंग के अंदर आपने इंक्रीज कर लिया, दैट कैन बी अनदर वे. Further, you can acquire some of the competitors. Competition को ही खत्म कर दो. Something we know Facebook does. That अपने competitors को खरीद के you can acquire the competitors and you can grow. Okay. Now further is the competitive analysis. तो अगर competitors का हमने analysis करना है तो competitor क्या नए product लेके आ रहे हैं, उसने क्या evolution करी and उन्होंने क्या market share pick up किया. This is something which is very much there in the smartphone market. In fact, it is there in every market, but smartphone market के अंदर it is much more apparently visible. Furthermore, response क्या कर सकते हैं? अगर competitor नए product ला रहा है, कुछ changes ला रहा है, market share acquire कर रहा है, then what can we do? एक तो उसको खरीद लो जाके, पैसे दो, आजा मेरे साथ, खरीद लिया उसको. Another can be you can merge your company with the competitor itself. तीसरा तरीका क्या है, कॉम्पिटिटर को कॉपी कर लो, पेटेंट्स के लिए पैसे दे दो उसको. Another can be कॉम्पिटिटर की जो मैनेजमेंट है, कमिटी है. दिस इज समथिंग विच इज वेरी मच देयर. अगर आप कोई टॉप पीपल को देखो ऑन द बोर्ड्स, they are onto top positions into many companies. So this is something which is there, that you're hiring the competitors management. Further, you can increase your own profile, अपनी profile बढ़ाओ, PR campaign चलाओ. Yeah. Okay. Now coming to increasing the sales. So obviously growth strategy जैसा ही है, volume increase कर दो, amount of sale increase कर दो, prices increase कर दो, या फिर एक seasonal balance बना के चलो. Now coming to the last segment of this presentation. After this, we will be having one or two demos of case study. Further, we will be having an activity with all of you in which we will be discussing a case with all of you. Okay. Now coming to the tips and tricks. So first thing is, एक case study को कैसे खोला जाए. So how to deliver the perfect case opening. कोई बताना चाहेगा कैसे कर सकते हैं? तो जैसे मैं कहता हूँ that there is a company which is willing to enter Indian markets into the कौन सा सेक्टर लेना चाहते हैं. There is a baby food sector. How do we enter? Should we enter there or not? Can anyone tell? You can unmute yourself. I'm audible.
Yes sir, you're audible.
सर मीन्स हम क्या कंसीडर करेंगे, मीन्स कि वो कंपनी क्या देखना चाह रही है.
बेबी फूड कंपनी इंडिया में एंटर करके अपना बेबी फूड बेचना चाहती है. यू नो, जो छोटे बच्चे होते हैं उनको अलग सा खाना देना पड़ता है, सेरोलैक और समथिंग लाइक दैट, आई डोंट नो. So if it is willing to enter Indian market, should it enter or not? If that is the question, how do you consider that? कैसे आंसर दोगे उसका?
सर अगर कोई फॉरेन कंपनी है तो उसे इनिशियली ट्रस्ट बनाने में दिक्कत आएगी, क्योंकि अगर बच्चों का खाना है तो वो मतलब ट्रस्ट के बेसिस पर है कि बेसिकली घर का ही खिलाया जाए या जो पुरानी कंपनी है वही खिलाया जाए, तो उसे बेसिकली स्टार्टिंग में ये प्रॉब्लम आएगी ट्रस्ट की. एकदम से लोग उन्हीं की कंपनी को ट्रस्ट क्यों करे, और बाहर से आ रही है कंपनी तो.
ओके फाइन.
तो एडवर्टाइजमेंट भी ऐसे ही करना पड़ेगा ना, मतलब वैसा ऐड दिखाना पड़ेगा टीवी पर, या फिर ऐसा भी हो सकता है कि इंडिया का भी कुछ नाम यूज कर ले उसमें प्रोडक्ट का ऊपर.
Okay, great. So talking about trust issues, you're talking about advertisement. So these are all the things which we can look into. So first of all, you can show appreciation that, okay, this is something which is very good. Then you can tell, okay, these are the various arenas I'm thinking into. Then you can recap with it that आपने मुझे ये बताया, this is what you are looking into. Then you can further clarify it if you have any doubts. And then you can announce the case approach. That is, अगर मैंने market entry का पूछा है तो मैं ये चीजें देखूंगा. Further, you can align with the interviewer's perspective, and you can ask for a timeout. एक 2 मिनट लो, सोचो, and you can tell, this is what I'm thinking about. So how do you ask for data? So you have to basically give a reason for that. I want this data because I want to delve further into understanding the age groups of India. This is something you can tell, and you can ask the interviewer for the data. So data आपको free fund में नहीं मिलता. You have to ask some specific questions that will come with practice. And when you receive a data, फिर क्या करना है? सबसे पहले, okay, it seems to be interesting. Now you need to reiterate the important parts of the data, and you need to further work upon the data to get a solution to it. Now, how do you deliver a closing pitch? हमने discuss कर लिया, एक case discuss करा, उसका हमने root cause देख लिया, उसको एक solution देख लिया. Now, if you have to summarize it out to the CEO, then what would you say? So you would first of all tell, this was a problem. Then you can tell, okay, the root causes ये थे, इस वजह से आ रहे थे. Then you can tell, this are the summary of the solutions, and what is the next step that the company should take. Okay. So I guess we will be moving. How many people are there? Just to give me a second. Okay, so there are, I think, around 46 people. Now, just give me a second. Am I audible that side?
Oh, yes, yes, you are audible.
So now we shall be moving to a demonstration upon the case study. I think Kunal is there.
Yes, Bharat, I'm here.
Okay, so now we'll be moving to two demonstrations of how to solve a case study. Just give me a second. So shall we begin with it?
Yes, sure.
Yeah.
So, Bharat, as you've given the example, same thing I'm going to give you.
Okay.
Let's say there is a baby food company and it want to enter India. Can you please tell me a little bit about what are the major factors that they should consider in?
Okay. So basically, you're telling me that they are willing to enter the baby food market in India.
Right.
So you want to know whether they should enter or not and what are the factors they should go for.
Right.
Okay. So can you please tell me that what is the revenue they are looking for, to any targets for that if they have?
For that, I guess you need to first calculate the market size.
Okay. So if you look at the baby food market in India, first of all, we need to know what are the population segment we are looking for. So baby food market will not be baby food won't be consumed by everyone. I guess 2 3 year olds up to that, from 1 to 2 years of age, will be consuming that. Do we have any particular age group for that?
Yes, right now we are targeting the age group of 2 to 5 years.
Okay, fine. So we are targeting 2 to 5 years of age group.
Right.
Okay. So I think this will be pretty much like a guesstimate which we did last time. So we will be having to basically find the number of people which are there in 2 to 5 years of age group, first of all.
Right.
Okay. So we can basically say that the population of India is 130 crore. And further, we can say that we can divide it into the poor people or the lower class, which will be 30% of it, I think.
Fair enough.
And the middle class will be around 50%.
Right.
Just give me a second, I'm typing also. And the rich class will be around 20%.
Fine.
So, which of the segments we need to target will basically depend upon what is the cost of the product. Do we have any idea about what is the cost of your product?
So the price of the product is 1,000 rupees, which is for the premium segment.
Okay, it is for the premium segment. Fine.
Right.
And how many times can we eat?
So this would be given in 2 spoons with every meal.
Okay.
And one SKU will be consisting of 48 spoons.
2 spoons.
Right. With every meal.
Per meal. Okay,
Right.
great. And it has 48 spoons in all.
Right.
Okay. So I guess all of you are clear with the problem. So there is a baby food company which is willing to enter the Indian market, and we have to basically gauge whether it should enter or not. So the data which I have acquired till now is that we are having a target audience of 2 to 5 years of age, and the box is costing us around 1,000 rupees, and it is having 48 spoons in it. And every time you eat a meal, you need to eat 2 spoons.
Yes.
So
And
in
you can consider there would be 3 meals per day. So total it would be 6 spoons.
Yeah. So if there are 3 meals a day, then it will be 6 spoons. So I think if we are consuming 6 spoons per day, then 48 spoons will be consumed in 8 days.
Right.
So if we are consuming 48 spoons in 8 days, I think in 1 month we will have to buy 4 such packets, and it will be costing me 4,000 rupees per month.
Right.
So if I have to spend 4,000 rupees per month, I don't think this will be feasible for the lower class people. For the poor people, it won't be possible.
Right.
And for the middle class people, everyone won't be able to get it. But in the rich class people, we can maybe consider a higher level of penetration. So shall I take a minute to jot down my thoughts about it?
Yes, sure.
Thank you. Okay. So now what I can think of is that I guess we can concentrate only on the rich class. As you told me, it happens to be a premium product.
Right.
So in the rich class, there are 20% of the people. So 1/5 of 120 crore will be 26 crore, I guess.
Right.
So there will be 26 crore people in the rich class. Now, let us say the average life expectancy of people in India is around 70 years.
Yes, you can assume that.
Yeah. So from 2 till 5 years of age, we will be having basically how many? Three years in terms of 2 to 3 years, 3 till 4, and 4 till 5. So we'll be having three age groups as such. So it will be the number of adolescents, or I'm sorry, the number of student people or children from 2 till 5 in the age group of 2 till 5 will be 3/17 to 26 crore.
Fair enough.
So this will be giving me, I think, approximately 1 crore.
Right.
So now I don't think everyone will be interested in having baby food for their children. So people in India are very much reserved. वो baby food लाके अपने बच्चे को नहीं देंगे. They will be having some reservations and skepticality about your brand. So some particular percentage or fraction of these people will be going for baby food. Do we have any data for that? How many will be preferring your baby food?
At this point of time, you can consider it to be 30%.
Okay, if it is 30%, then 30% of 1 crore will be 30 lakh.
Right, fair enough.
So I think this is the total market for your product, 30 lakhs. Now, if I look at it in terms of 4,000 rupees is your product, and 30 lakh is the total number, which will be maybe targeting your product. So do we have any revenue targets for our entry? Any particular target we want to hit?
Right now, we are targeting to cover the market of approximately $2 billion.
$2 billion.
Right.
Okay. So if we are willing to enter $2 billion, we need to basically, first of all, find out that there is 30 lakh people and there is this much. So if we take out $2 billion and if we basically divide 30 lakhs into 4,000 rupees, I'm unable to write much because I'm using a mouse pad. Please pardon me for that, because I won't be able to write that. But I can basically tell the basic approach to it.
Yes, you can tell me the basic approach. No need to go into deep calculation.
Okay. So basically, first of all, we need to see that this is 4,000 rupees. Now we need to first of all convert it into dollars because we are looking for a $2 billion revenue. Furthermore, we can just multiply both these numbers, and we need to see that is it exceeding $2 billion or not. If it is not exceeding $2 billion, that means the total potential of Indian market doesn't match with the required thing. There is no way we can get it, and we should exit the plan. In case the number comes out to be higher than $2 billion, let us say the total market comes out to be $4 billion, then $2 billion will be 50% of it. In that case, we will be requiring a penetration rate of 50%, which is a bit unfeasible. If it is around 10 to 12%, we can maybe achieve it. So this is how I think we can proceed with it.
Okay, so great enough. Now you can look towards the market attractiveness analysis.
Okay, can I take a minute to jot down my thoughts about that?
Sure.
Okay, so basically, if you're talking about the market attractive analysis, maybe we can go into the macro and the micro. Macro means the country-wise analysis, and micro means the industry-wise analysis.
Yes, fair enough. You can start with macro.
Okay, so macro means that we are looking at India itself. So we can basically look in terms of demographics, maybe the socio-cultural, the economic side to it, the legal perspectives to it, and maybe the political perspectives to it also. Is it fair enough?
Right.
So in terms of demographics, we can basically look at the birth rate, the fertility rate, and what is the growth rate of the 2 to 5 years of age people in the country.
Great.
In terms of socio-cultural thing, we can look what is the preference of these kind of food items in India? I think people will be a bit reserved about it, and they might be skeptical about it in India as compared to a country like United States.
Right.
Furthermore, we need to look on to the economic angle. That is, what is the taxation upon it? Further, the legal thing, quality checks, and the permissions from the food authorities and the licensing committees, how much it will be feasible.
Right. And in legal and political?
In political, we can look into the government schemes and anything which is promoting such thing, because we have a high mortality rate and people below 5 are dying a lot in our country. The numbers are quite high as compared to other countries. So government might be supporting our products with some subsidies if it is possible. I think these are the factors we can look into.
Right. Fair enough.
In the micro industry, shall we move then?
Yes, you can move towards it.
So in the micro industry, micro analysis, that is the industry-wise analysis, I think we can concentrate onto the competitors which are there. Furthermore, we can look into the substitutes which are available for a product, any complements which can be there. And if we are willing to make a product, then we need some suppliers in terms of raw material and all these things. So how feasible it will be on that side?
Right, great, Bharat. I guess you have covered all the major topics and aspects that you could look at.
Great. So I think we're done with it. Shall we proceed to the second case?
Yes, Bharat.
Just give me a second.
Yeah, just.
Yeah, we can begin with the next one.
Yeah. So, Bharat, our client is Space Tech, and we have a product called Fitband, which is a wearable device which can track our activity and show us valuable information about our health, like the pulse rate and all. So, Space Tech has a goal of making Fitband a $1 billion business in US in next 2 years.
Okay.
So we have a problem, like Fitband currently works on the Wi-Fi only. So the reach is limited over the Wi-Fi. So now the company is interested in collaborating with cellular companies.
Okay.
So the company has approached different cellular companies, and we have offers like ATT, and we have three different players like ATT, Verizon, and we can categorize others as others only. So ATT and Verizon have stated that they will only sign the contract if they are the only two carriers to be onboarded.
Okay.
There will be no such carrier which will be onboarded.
Okay.
So now the basic problem which is with Space Tech is they need to you need to let us know that which player to go, like ATT, Verizon, or the other carriers.
Okay. So can I just reiterate what you said so that we are on the same page?
Yeah, that will be great.
So what I got from your statement is that Fitband happens to be a device, a wearable device, I think like a wristwatch, which we can wear.
Yeah, that's a watch kind device.
And it is a kind of digital device, which is towards the health segment, which is telling you about your heartbeat and other things. And it is having a Wi-Fi feature in it, which is good. But the thing is that it works only if the Wi-Fi availability is there all the time.
Yeah.
So the thing is that you're looking to sell out some maybe licensing or something like that to the cellular carriers. So if people are not aware, like
we are just doing tie-ups with the cellular carriers, and they will be selling our devices through their stores.
Okay, so they will be basically selling your devices. So for those of you who are not aware, like he's talking about Airtel, Jio. So like this, we are having some carriers for the Wi-Fi. So
about the telecom sector, we can say that.
Yeah.
The cellular carriers are those.
Yeah. So we are basically willing to tie up with them, and they will be selling our device from their stores or from their online, whatever. So what is the condition is that both of them are saying ATT and Verizon, these are two companies, just like Airtel and Jio. So these are saying that either you give us these products to sell only to both of us, or you can go to other players in the market. बाकी कंपनियों के पास जा सकते हो जैसे कनेक्ट हो गया ब्रॉडबैंड हो गया. I guess this is what we are talking about, Brahmjot.
Yeah.
Okay, so you told me that you are willing for a goal of $1 billion in the next 2 years.
Yeah, that's our goal.
Okay, so you want me to see whether we should go forth with it or not? Which company?
Which carrier to go with?
Okay, okay. Can I just take a minute to jot down my thoughts?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. I've just put down my thoughts. Is someone asking something?
No, I guess that's with the mistake.
Okay.
Someone raised the hand.
Okay, fine. So what I can think of is we need to consider some factors into account. First can be the customer base, that is market size. कितना है? What is the market size? Another
Yeah,
needs
that
to be
must
the
be.
product price itself.
Mm-hmm.
Another can be the growth potential which is there in the next few years. What kind of growth we are expecting? How many sales will we have? These are the three domains I can think of.
Mm-hmm.
So the first factor which I told, just let me display. I'm sorry for displaying it late. This was the case.
This is a summary which Bharat explained.
Yeah, I'm sorry for putting it late, but this is what we had, that we want $2 billion in the next 1 year, $1 billion in the next 2 years. And it has a connectivity, and we are willing to collaborate with the cellular companies. Okay, fine. So I can basically think of customer base first of all. And I think we need to go on to the demographics as well as the price sensitivity. So shall we proceed with it?
Yeah, we should.
Okay, so if you look at the market size itself, first of all, I think we need to know about the price of the product. Because if we know about the price of the product, we know that which particular segment of the population needs to be targeted, whether it is middle class or rich class or which. So can you please tell me a bit about the price of the product itself?
We have different ranges of price with different carriers. With
Okay.
ATT Verizon, we are giving it for $400, and with other carriers, we have $500.
Okay, so you're telling me that ATT and Verizon, अगर हम उनके through product बेचें,
Yeah,
in that
that's-
case, they will be selling us our product for $400 only.
Yeah,
But if we are going for other carriers, it will be for $500.
yeah.
So there is a difference of $100 अगर हम Jio या Airtel या whichever brands you told अगर हम उनके through बेच रहे हैं. Is there a reason for that?
Yeah, ATT Verizon are helping us with the manufacturing cost.
Okay, fine, fine. So they are basically, I think, subsidizing it, and it will become easier for the customer to access the product.
Yeah.
Okay.
They have their manufacturing operations and they are helping us in manufacturing. So
Okay.
that's why the price is comparatively low.
Okay, great. So I now know the prices. I think we need to further assess the total market, the potential of the market, and what is the penetration rate which we will be needed in order to achieve our $1 billion revenue. So shall we proceed with it?
Yeah.
So do we have any data regarding the customer base which is there in the country right now?
Yeah. For ATT, we have 11 million users. For Verizon, we have 9 million users. And for other carriers, we have 30 million users.
Okay, fine. So we are having 50 million total users.
Yeah.
Okay, fine, fine. One thing I can think of is it is mentioned here that it is currently in US. So it is the current number of users which are there. But
Yeah,
we want
definitely.
to earn revenue, as you mentioned earlier. We want to earn revenue in the next 2 years. So I think the number of customers will grow over the period of next 2 years. Do we need to take that also into account?
Yeah, I have a number for you. Like we have 20% growth rate in next 2 years.
Okay, we have 20% growth rate in the next 2 years.
Yeah.
So what I can think of is that ADT and Verizon, if I combine them, we will be having 20 million users for them.
Yeah.
And for the other carriers, we will be having 30 million users.
Mhm.
So if it is growing at 20%, then after 2 years or in 2 years, it will be growing to means after 1 year if we talk about, because उसके अगले साल में तो that particular customer will be cash to. तो जो अभी है current उनको हम इस साल deal करेंगे, and the other one will be dealt in the next year. So 20 million will grow to 20 into 1.2. It will be 24 million customers in the next 1 year. After 1 year, the population will be 24 million. And for other carriers, I believe it will be 1.2 into 30, which will be 36 million users.
Yeah.
Okay, fine. Now, I think we need to further assess the full market potential, which is there for both of them. From there, we can gauge whether to go with it or not. So, shall I proceed with it?
Yeah.
Okay. So, if I talk about ADT and Verizon, you told me that the cost for ADT is around 400, I guess.
Yeah, that's the selling price.
Okay.
We will be selling at 400.
Okay, so it is $400, and for other carriers, it is $500.
Yeah.
Okay. So if I just basically multiply 24, this is the number, into $400, this is what will be the market potential through both of them. Is it fair enough?
Yeah.
So I think 24 into 4 will give me $9,600.
Mm-hmm.
And
$9,600 million. Like,
I'm sorry. It will be $9,600 million. And if I multiply 36 into 500,
Bharat, there is no need to write, like we have tables for this. You
we
can
have
just
tables for that. Okay.
Yeah, you can just click.
Okay, great. So it will be 30 million into 12, it will be 36 million. Now, if I further multiply 36 into 500, we will be getting $18 billion.
Yeah.
Now, the basic thing, the crux of the thing was that we are willing for $1 billion business. So if we want $1 billion business, we need to assess the penetration rate. That is, हमें कितनी % market को capture करना पड़ेगा. So
Yeah.
we are willing for $1 billion. So we need to find out how much is $1 billion of $9.6 billion.
Sorry to interrupt you, Bharat.
Yeah.
I want to let the audience know that this full market potential is Bharat has considered that 100% of the customers of ATT, Verizon, and other carriers will use our product. But that is not the case. So now Bharat will be doing the calculations for that.
Yeah. So basically, all the customers will not be transitioning into the product. सारे customers एक company के आपका product use नहीं करेंगे. So what we can do is that we are willing for $1 billion revenue. So we need to see that कितने % customers हमें ADT and Verizon से बुलाने पड़ेंगे, so that we are able to achieve our $1 billion revenue. So what we can do is 1 billion divided by 9.6 billion. So if I do the calculations, I think it will be roughly around 10%, if I'm right.
Yeah, that will be 10%.
Yeah, and same way here, it will be 1 divided by 18. So if I do the rough calculations, I think approximately it will be 5%.
Yeah, close to 5%.
Close to 5%. So if we are willing to enter the market through ATT and Verizon, we need to capture 10% of the market, whereas for other carriers, we need to capture only 5%. So अगर हमें सिर्फ 5% customers को acquire करना है, वो आसान होगा, but 10% customers को acquire करना ज़्यादा मुश्किल होगा. So right now in vacuum, it seems that ATT and Verizon are not good to go with as compared to other carriers. But I think there are some other factors also which we need to look into account.
Yeah.
So do we have any data that, because I think it is $400 product, it is a bit expensive, 400 or 500. So not everyone will be, ready for it. So there will be some priorities corresponding to it which we need to look into. Like, are they price sensitive? What are their top priorities? Are they looking for a reliable network? Are they looking for customer service? What kind of people are into the different areas? Do we have any data regarding that?
Yeah, we have done a customer survey. You can just, I have a graph for you. You can
have a
just,
graph?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, this is the graph.
Okay. Just let me understand the
Yeah.
graph. So what I can see is that if I look at it, this is a graph of percentage of customers, I guess, in the y-axis.
Yeah.
And yeah,
It's the percentage.
yeah. And we have ADT and Verizon here and other carriers here. So if you look at the customers in ADT and Verizon, the maximum of them are towards the reliable network. Then they have a affinity for customer service, and they have no affinity or very less affinity for the price. Whereas the other customers are having a bit more concern about the price, then towards the terms of contract, and then towards the customer service. So I think these are very different kinds of customers which are there.
Yeah.
ADT and Verizon customers seem to be a bit richer in that
Yeah, we
segment.
can regard them as premium segment.
Yeah.
That will be perfect word to substitute.
Yeah. So I think ADT and Verizon customers are premium, as you mentioned, and they might be having some more money and some more regard for such product because it is a new product, I guess, one of its own kind, I guess.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So it is a new product. So we are looking for early adopters. मतलब ऐसा कोई product market में पहले से है नहीं. So we are looking for people who can test it out. So
Definitely.
people who are very, very price sensitive won't be willing to come to test a product like this.
Yeah, that's the case.
So I think this is one thing we need to consider, that because of these factors, ADT and Verizon looks good. Now, one last factor which I need to want to look into account with your permission, sir, is that we need to look into the distribution channels. Shall we proceed with that?
Yeah.
So this product has to be sold. Now, this is a new product. So one way of selling it is online. Another ways of selling it is offline. If it is a new product, people will be willing to go to the stores and they will be willing to try the product, डालने में कैसा लगता है and all these things.
Yeah.
Do we have
Basically, we are not considering online as the distribution channel.
Okay.
We are just considering the retail stores.
Okay, they are just retail stores. Fine. So do we have any data regarding the retail stores of both of them?
Yeah, we have data regarding that. You can just click that.
Okay, great. So this is the number of US retail stores. Okay. And we are having non-US, but I guess we are considering only in the US.
Yeah, we are targeting US only right now.
So we can just ignore this part.
Yeah.
Great. So we will be selling through ADT and Verizon, or we will be selling through other carriers. So if I just combine both of these, I think this will be becoming 4,000 stores.
Mm-hmm.
And this will be 3,000 stores. So as I told you earlier, that in terms of percentages, if you look, ADT and Verizon have, I think, 1,000 stores more than other carriers, or 33% more stores than other carriers. So because it is a new product and people will be willing to travel there and they will try to test that new device, how it looks, and some other features they will be willing to test. Also taking into account the customer segmentation and the mindset of them, I think we should go with ADT and Verizon into account.
That's great. And do you have any suggestion for us, like for CEO?
Can I just take 10 to 15 seconds to jot down all the things?
Yeah,
yeah,
you can.
Okay. So what I can look at it is that, first of all, we looked through all of the case and we got to know that we should go with ADT and Verizon.
Mm-hmm.
The penetration rate is reasonable of around 10%. At the same time,
it's achievable, I guess.
Yeah, it is achievable. It is not very far away. Though in the vacuum, others seem to be very well of 5%. But taking into account the better customer base, which are very much aligned with the product type which we are going to pitch in, and also a larger reach out in terms of the number of retail stores, which are 33% more as compared to the other retail stores. So I guess we should be going with the ADT and Verizon.
Yeah, that's good to go.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, sir. Okay, so this was a typical flow in which we had a case question. Then I just reiterated everything he said. Then I asked for some clarifications from him. And then I asked for some time to write down my thoughts. I proposed some of the layouts to him. And further, we analyzed each of them. And we identified some root causes like distribution channel kitne hain and customer segmentation kaisa hai. And further, we proceeded towards the solution. And at last, he asked me, how would you like to summarize it? So I took some time and I summarized it. So this is how a typical flow happens. So thank you. Any questions from any one of you? After this, we'll be having an activity in which we will be discussing a case with you for 10 minutes or so. So if you leave, the link will be shared with you in around 10 minutes. Any doubts? You can ask.
Any book recommendations for beginners?
I think there are a variety of cases which you can find on McKinsey website. Also on Bain website, you will be able to find. I guess this is a modified version of one of the Bain cases itself, which we are discussing right now. On YouTube, you have I Am Lucknow's channel, which is having a good amount of case studies that can be done.
ओके रिसर्च का लिए कौन सा जगह बेहतर होता है मतलब गूगल में तो ऐसा भी बहुत कुछ गलत बताता है
You can go to McKinsey website. There will be case studies on the Bain, BCG. All these websites are having a section for case studies. You can check that.
सर लिंक कहाँ पर मिलेगी?
किसकी लिंक?
अभी आपने बोला एक्टिविटी होगी.
Activity. It will be shared on the WhatsApp group. Around 10 minutes.
Okay.
How many people do we have? Just let me check. I think there are 19 people. We can do the activity here itself. We will be doing the activity here itself. We may not leave because there are not many people.
Bharat, I guess some people have left. You can just put on
I'll be
information
putting
over
it
the
up.
WhatsApp group.
I'll be putting it up in 5 minutes. If any